This is Women Take the Wheel.
Sit down, strap in, and turn on all you've got.
Nikki Clark is taking you behind the scenes.
You're ready to win. Let me tell you, these cars, they get up and go pretty good.
Introducing you to women drivers, crew members, and fans of the racing world. Plus, Nikki is bringing you the latest racing news in Indiana and beyond.
We're going to bring it to you from the tower as they get ready to pull into the beams.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network.
All right, strap yourselves in.
Woo! Getting off the track and in your ears. This is Women Take the Wheel.
Come on, baby.
With your host,
Here we go.
Nikki Clark.
Hi, I'm Nikki Clark, your host for Women Take the Wheel, here on the All Indiana Podcast Network. On this episode, I'm joined by third-generation race car driver Melanie Johnson. She'll be competing in her first full season at Top Alcohol Dragster in 2025, and she has one of the best mentors a driver can have, her dad. Well, that'd be Alan Johnson, who happens to have just a few championships under his belt. We talk about growing up at the racetrack watching her family race, her first job in motorsports, when the driving bug really bit her, and what she does off the track that can help her find success behind the wheel. Stay tuned.
With Amex, there's always a new experience to explore. From curating the perfect vacation and chilling in the Centurion Lounge before you get there, trying out that new trendy restaurant thanks to Priority Notify with global dining access by Resy, and getting straight to the action at the big game with card member entrances at select venues. With Amex Platinum, you can experience it all. That's the powerful backing of American Express. Terms apply. Access to the card member entrance not limited to the American Express Platinum Card. Learn more at americanexpress.com/withAmex.
And welcome to another Women Take the Wheel. And this week, I'm excited to have on Melanie Johnson. How are you doing, Melanie?
I'm doing well, Nikki. How are you?
I am doing great. And for those you don't know, Melanie Johnson is a third generation, not one, two, a third generation driver. And you just made a big announcement this week, and share what that announcement is.
I am going to run a full season in Top Alcohol Dragster on the NHRA circuit this year.
Yes, I'm so excited. You're going to be at the McPhillips, and you're driving the infamous green machine then?
Yes. Yeah, it won't be in green this year. We're going to have the carbon fiber black slick body on there. But, yeah, it's a great car, and I'm excited that they're giving me this opportunity.
I'm so glad to hear that. And I'm like, I love the green. They're going to make you keep like a shamrock on there, though, aren't they?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, can't go without the shamrock.
I know the McPhillip boys, and I'm like, and they also always have the best tow vehicles. So I can't wait to see what they have this season to tow you in, because they've had some incredible ones.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
I don't know if we'll have anything as cool as the Jeg mini truck, but we'll see.
Oh, we can outdo it. We can do it. We can do it. But so this, you are not new. As we mentioned, you're third generation. And lots of people know your dad, Alan Johnson. I do, because he builds engines, and you guys get gaskets from my parents at Clark Copperhead
That's
Gaskets.
right.
So I know you very well. So what was it like growing? I mean, because, your dad's like, what, a 13-time champ, and he's been it forever. And so I'm assuming you pretty much like crawled, walked, and you're at the track.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think my first race was when I was 6 months old. And spent a lot of time in the race trailer, hanging around, watching my dad on the computer, analyzing runs. And at the end of the day is when I got to leave the trailer and hang out with the crew guys. They would just kind of entertain me when I was growing up. So it was really nice, great environment, as you know, to grow up in. It's just such a family environment, and a lot of days and nights spent at the racetrack. It's part of my whole life. My grandfather raced a Pontiac factory hot rod in the early 50s. And so that was just one of his hobbies. And he kind of hung that up when my grandparents had kids. They were in ranching at the time. They had cattle. So he had a lot of responsibilities and couldn't do racing full time anymore. So, my dad and Uncle Blaine, once they got older, they got the itch to race. And I'm sure that was ingrained from a young age, too, just that being a passion of my grandfather's. And after high school and college, they started sand drag racing, built their own car, and it just took off from there. They hit the asphalt and never looked back.
Oh, obviously, they're legendary now. And they also got their start, which I love, I was reading up on, is that they got their start in Top Alcohol Dragster, too. And, I mean, how cool is that you're doing the same thing?
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's what I've wanted to do since I first got my license in Super Comp back in 2021. The goal was always to go into Top Alcohol Dragster. That class is just so much fun. There's so many great people and a much easier entry than some of the other classes, I think. There's a lot of opportunity there with the numerous cars and teams that are willing to open their seat up to new drivers and just help develop younger drivers. It's really, really awesome.
Yeah, it totally is. And you never have to sell me on Top Alcohol. That's, because as you know, that's why I grew up with my parents. And so that's like one of my favorite. And because everybody just gets along so much. And you never have to sell me on that. I just love being with a family like that. And so when did you decide, like when you were a kid, did you decide I want to drive someday? Or was it one of those things where it's like one day when you're older, like, maybe I want to drive?
Yeah, I think it just kind of developed over time. When I was younger, I saw the junior dragsters, of course, when I was at the racetrack, and my parents, for good reason, kept me out of it as long as they could. They definitely wanted me to pursue athletics and get my school in, which it worked out very well for me. I enjoyed that path, but my first job out of college was working with Scrappers Racing, and just seeing Jasmine and Gianna out there having a blast, I was like, well, I want to be part of this too. This is awesome. And just really seeing what it took to get there, the time investment to mentally prepare for racing, and you got to put your seat time in. You can't just jump in and do it. So I went the route of going into Super Comp. I got my license and changed jobs that year that I got my license, so I couldn't really commit to a full schedule yet. So I just kind of worked a new job and got into a position where I could take a little bit more time off, and I was able to run a full season last year with the intention of, hey, I'm going to get seat time, I'm going to get comfortable in that car so I can license and hopefully get a race in Top Alcohol Dragster. And that's just what happened.
I love it. And to back people up too, I knew this, but I just didn't know if other people knew it. You are such a talented social media writer, PR, all that. And so that's what you did with the Scrappers, correct?
Yes. Yeah, that's, like I said, first job out of college. And the Salinas families, they're so awesome, and they're really gracious giving me that opportunity. Fresh out of college, it's always nerve-wracking when you're coming into graduation, don't know what's going to happen next. And that summer is probably a month after graduation. I was at one of the races with my dad and talked to them and asked them, is this something that you guys would be interested in, having some help with the PR side of things, because that's what I thought I wanted to do. And it was a great few years working with them, got tons of experience, and then shifting to a new job here locally in Ventura, California. I work for Quantum Fuel Systems, and now I've been promoted to the marketing manager. So doing a lot of e-commerce marketing. I get to use a little bit of those skills from my drag racing PR experience, but just developing a whole new set of marketing skills. And then I still had that passion and just love going to the races still. I was like, I need to find a way to stick around and to be a part of it. So I started my own business doing that, just helping teams, mainly the Gordons in Top Alcohol Funny Car, great friends. And it was just kind of good timing because Maddie was finishing out her junior dragster career and her junior comp, and this story was building of going into Top Alcohol Dragster and just being a phenom, like the youngest woman to ever do that. And in such a badass car. So it was like, this is a story that needs to be told. And I was inspired by that. So the timing all worked out to start my business on the side and help them and just kind of help out these smaller racers, because I couldn't turn it into a full-time thing, because I do love my job here full-time. And that experience has just been amazing, just to kind of be a fly on the wall around different race teams and different operations, because I had so much experience around Top Fuel growing up. There's so many different levels out there with all the sportsman classes, and great stories that have to be told.
Oh, yes. And once again, I love the Gordons too. And I remember last year when Maddie got her first win at the regional race, and the whole time I was there and you weren't, and I was texting you and sending you pictures. And I'm like, Melanie, I wish you were here.
I just knew that would be her first win, the race that I wasn't at that year. I think I was at the first 5 races, even the Phoenix regional. I was there, and then I was very proud of her, and so happy that you were there to take some pictures and videos for her.
Yeah, because I'm just like, I'm sending this to Melanie. I'm not posting. I'm sending it all to her. Yeah, because we were actually in the middle of doing a podcast with her, and then she had to go run the final round, and she won. And so and they were one of my first podcasts too, because unlike your dad, her mom loved to get her in the junior dragster because she thought gymnastics was too dangerous. So she is putting her in a dragster.
Right. Yeah.
Such a great
they're an awesome story, awesome family.
Yeah, and now we can't wait to see. She's going to move up the field rank, so there'll be more of the story you have to follow.
Yes. Yeah, I am so excited for her. This year is just going to be, she's got all that experience from last year. Now it's just, okay, you got the first year jitters out of the way. You're so well trained and ready to go. How well she did last year. Yeah. I mean, incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And now, how did you get together with the Phillips to kind of put this all together? I know they're clients of your dad's and everything like that, but how did you come to team up with the McPhillips boys?
Yeah, so back when I was working with Scrappers Racing, they were running Jasmine's Top Alcohol Dragster at the time. So I just kind of met them as a result of being around the pit, and we just hit it off. And I kind of told them back then, I think somebody teased me about when are you going to get in one of these things? I was like, oh, well, I want to. So it's just a matter of time. And so I just kind of kept that line of communication open about my plans, and they suggested, going the super comp route, and that was what I wanted to do anyway. But I just kind of kept in touch with them and always stopped by, said hi at the races, and at the beginning of last year, when I committed to doing a full season in super comp, I was like, hey, do you think by Brainerd, because that's a typical Monday test session. Yeah. Would Brainerd work out? Could I get my license? And they were open to it, and everything kind of worked out. I got a lot of great seat time in Tom Bayer's Super Comp car last year, and really felt like I was ready by that time of the year. Everything was slowing down on track in the Super Comp car. Just kept talking to Richie and Rich, and they're open to it. And I was at some races, the national events where they were at, and they would come by and watch me, and they were making sure I was doing well in the car, and they felt comfortable enough to give me a chance.
Yeah. What was it like that first time up in Brainerd, which is my other home track? That's the one where my parents won twice in Top Alcohol. My dad did. Yeah, we are twice. That was back when it was the North Star Nationals. Way back, before you were born. But so what was it like that first time then when you got behind the alcohol car, after being in a super comp for how long and going so much faster? How was it?
It was not bad. I was expecting it to be a lot faster. I think I over prepared myself for that. Really the only difference was the launch, because in a super comp car, you're on a button and you go when your thumb lifts off, you're already matted to the floor. So that just mind connection of, oh yeah, the car goes when you hit the throttle.
Yeah.
Just that quick second realization on the first run, but the car was smooth, took it to 660, lifted, threw the chutes out as I was coasting through the finish line, and I was just a huge smile on my face. Like, I did it. I felt in control. I knew where I was on the track, and I just, like, I couldn't wait to get back to the trailer so we could get the info out of the car and see exactly where I lifted, because that was a point to myself to prove that I was in control. I knew where I was at on the track, even though it is quicker than I've been to a quarter mile in half track. So that felt good. I was like 3 feet off or something like that. So it was really a proud moment, and just made me excited to make those next 2 runs to complete the license.
And I gotta say, I mean, how cool is this that you get to do this with your dad? Like, it's something he did with his brother and his dad, and now he's doing it with you. I mean, how do you describe that experience? I find it very cool, but
yeah, it's just a dream come true. My whole thing is I want to run AJP engines, because that's obviously my dad's engines, and it's been a long time since he built any new stuff for alcohol dragsters. So I'm excited to see what he comes up with and win with that combination.
So yeah, so you're kind of going to be a little test for him too, a little test subject.
Yeah, I'm sure there's potential for that. That would be, that's the goal.
Now, have you gotten any, we know Gainesville's going to be your first race, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Have you gotten any,
the Gator Nationals.
Have you gotten any seat time in yet, or got any testing in yet this year?
No testing this year. So, Q1 of the Gator Nationals will be my first run since the Vegas regional in the fall.
Wow.
So really, I've just been, taking laps in my head almost every day, a few times a day, just going over procedure and making sure I'm ready. Everything went really well in November when I ran that regional in Vegas. So I just I have more runs to base that mental picture on. To replay just kind of some live experience. Because before my original testing to get my license, it was all reading procedure off of paper and watching some videos from, that other drivers have posted on their social media pages and kind of piecing it together that way. But it's so different when you've done all the procedures yourself in the car, so you know about how long everything takes, so you can do it in real time, because that's just the best way I've found and the best way I've heard from other drivers to prepare.
I was going to say, you can take a note from Maddie Gordon, because she's telling me she'd watch her dad's YouTube videos from in the cockpit.
Yeah.
And she'd mentally go through those and watch those, and that's what, like, her little thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm sure she put in probably 1,000 hours watching videos. Yeah. I mean, she still is such a student of her dad and driving, and what a great role model for driving. Her dad did an incredible job, and to have all that footage from the GoPro in the cockpit is invaluable.
See, and you can do the same thing. You can do the same thing. Get all in there and get in. And I always joke, too, and you probably get this, too. I could probably, watching my dad and you watching your dad, I could change a top alcohol engine before I could change my engine in my car.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got this, 2 foot, maybe not even 2 feet wide. A typical race trailer, they usually have a trash can right inside the door. So I got to stand right there while they were servicing the car. And when I was growing up, I was probably 7 to 10 years old, in that range, when I got to stand out there. But I couldn't move, and the guys on the team were aware that that's where I was, so they would coordinate to be, around me. They wouldn't hit me, bump into me. And so I would study, it was fascinating watching these guys tear down engines and put them all back together in 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Insane.
Now, are you going to, do you work on your alcohol alcohol car too then, or are you leaving to the guys?
I will for sure pack my own shoes. I'll help with the fuel. Richie jokes with me all the time that I'm in charge of bottom end, and I said, whatever, just teach me how to do it.
Yeah, hey, I'm in.
But yeah, I'll have, the typical driver responsibilities. And then, if there's anything they ever need help with, I'm pretty handy. So, and I pick up on stuff. So they can teach me pretty much anything. As long as I'm in my suit ready to drive for the next run, I'm okay with it.
Okay, then now here's where I get to the fun part where I always like to ask people, especially like you who've been in the sport for so long, do you have a favorite race memory?
Oh, man.
I know it's a tough one. I'm so sorry.
So many.
Like, is there like a win or something with your dad or like something where I'm like, I am never going to forget this ever?
Right. Okay. So the run is obviously probably a lot of people's favorite memory of maybe my dad or just drag racing in general. And that's definitely like top 2 or 3. But I think my all-time favorite was the first race that I got to go to with just my dad. I think my mom she's a CPA, so it was during tax season, and she couldn't make it out to the race. So I got to fly to a race with just my dad and hang out. I think I was maybe a freshman in high school. And then it got rained out on Sunday in Englishtown. And this was back in the Alan Obby days. So that was some very successful years of racing for Alan Obby as a whole. There was Frank Manzo and forgetting who else.
You had Larry and all them at Alan Obby.
Yeah, Larry. So it rained out Sunday, got to stay over Monday. So 1, skipping school on a Monday. That was great. And then 2, we win the race, and they triple up with the Alan Obby cars. There was a Pro Mod, Alcohol Funny car, and then Larry Dixon and Top Fuel won the race. So it was just so memorable of having that much celebration going on. And then my dad was in the winner's circle, and it's kind of his tradition to bring a beer to the photographers, namely Richard Shute.
Yes.
So he sent me back to the trailer on his scooter to go get a beer for the photographers, and I was like, that's a core memory for sure. Just having that responsibility, riding back to the trailer, and coasting back with the beer. This little high school student hasn't even opened a beer herself yet.
Oh, my dad trained me long before that. No. When he was working in, because our race shop was in the garage originally by the house. He's like, "We're in the house and get me a beer."
Yeah, right.
I was trained at an early age. Do you have a track that you're most looking forward to racing at this year?
Ooh.
Track or event?
Okay, so track, I'm most looking forward to racing is Indy. And then event I'm most looking forward to racing is the Night Under Fire in Norwalk.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've just heard how crazy fun that is. And I've been to the Norwalk National so many times, and Bill Bader puts on a great show. And I can't even fathom what it's going to be like for that Night Under Fire.
Oh, yeah. I've heard everybody who goes up, they're like, oh, my God, you have to go. And it packs just as much as it does for the national event for that one night.
That's what I've heard, yeah.
And the ice cream, duh.
Yeah, duh.
I'm like, and then now they got the good flavors. I'm like, oh, yeah. I think we all walk away from Norwalk eating about 5 pounds after eating all that ice cream. And if you win there, too, you get the magic scoop. You get the special scoop, too.
Oh, that would be the best. I need an ice cream scoop.
And now another thing I always love to ask everybody is, what advice do you have for other girls who want to do what you're doing to get into the sport to race? What would you tell them? I mean, do you say start, do you want to do like you do, or you start a different job or start a different car? Or?
I would say just be persistent, because the plan's going to change over time, and then the timing will work out the way it's supposed to. So I would, persistence. Just knowing what the end goal is, and knowing that the route to get there might be different than what you envision.
Oh, I love that. That's good. You're very athletic off the track. Like you do, what sports have you done? And I know you do weightlifting. How many sports do you do?
So, currently 2. I do adult slow pitch softball and on Thursday nights, and then I golf as well. My goal is to play more golf this year. I think I got 4 rounds in 2024. It was a really busy year. And believe it or not, with a full Alcohol Dragster schedule this year, I'll actually be home more weekends. So hopefully that means more rounds of golf.
I wish
and then,
you could get into it. I'm sorry. I'm like, I wish I could get into it. I just can't. Just can't do it.
I know. That was another family thing. It was like racing and golf. My grandpa, my grandma, my aunt, my dad, my uncle, they all played golf. So it was just another thing that I grew up and was going to play golf. I got my first set of clubs when I was 3 years old. I think they were my dad's or my grandpa's clubs that they chopped down because they didn't make kids-specific clubs back in the day.
Oh, wow.
So they just chopped them down and put handles on them. And that was my first set of clubs. I think they're still in my grandma's garage.
See, that's what I love about racers. They will just like, oh, you don't have it? I'll make it. You know?
Yeah. They just took some clubs down to the shop, used one of the saws, and chopped them down. Easy.
Yeah. And now my other question, follow-up then was, do you think your athletic ability and all the stuff you do, is that going to help you behind the wheel, do you think?
I think so, yeah. I played softball for 13 years competitively. Even now, the slow pitch is highly competitive. We won our championship in December. Shout out to DDR. And then golf, always played competitively, and that. So I think from softball, just the awareness and reactions to hitting a ball, catching, making really quick decisions and base running. And I played outfield too, so you got to be really spatially aware. And so I think that's really going to help. And then from golf, there's just a level of focus that you have to maintain throughout 18 holes. And if you can hold your focus for 18 holes, you can hold your focus for the 2 minutes that you're in the car. From the starting line, burn out, run, get off the end of the track. So definitely those things. And I've really poured myself into strength training as well for probably about 3 years consistently because it's been a while since I was in college training. And the past 3 years, I found an awesome gym locally, and their programming is just phenomenal. So you definitely need a lot of strength to keep the clutch pedal down in a A-fuel dragster. And then obviously that brake handle is all you got when you're on the high side.
And so now, like I said, you're getting ready for the Gators and everybody wants to follow you now. So tell on social media, where's all the sites that we can follow you on social media and what are your names on there?
Yeah. So Instagram is where I'll do most of my posting, and that's at Melanie Johnson Racing. Super easy. And then I just started a Facebook page as well, Melanie Johnson Racing. So, yeah.
I'm already following it.
Perfect.
I made sure to follow it right away. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and I cannot wait to watch you in the Gators coming up. So thank you again.
Yeah, we're under 2 weeks from Q1 at the Gator Nationals.
Thank you again for listening. I'm Nikki Clark, and this is Women Take the Wheel. Be sure to connect and follow on Facebook when you search for Women Take the Wheel podcast. And be sure to follow and subscribe to this podcast right now here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is Women Take the Wheel with Nikki Clark. Follow and subscribe to this podcast now and discover even more great podcasts on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Online at allindianapodcastnetwork.com. allindianapodcastnetwork.com.